All right, Beauty Mind Monday. We have a special guest today. We've had a crazy week, a viral video that has been getting mostly love, but some hate that we'll jump into in a second. Talk about. Allison, introduce our guest.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to have Gina on today. Gina, say hello.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
I am literally so excited to have you on today because you're just a good vibe. And I love our little voice memo chats that we have on Instagram. I'm excited to actually talk to you face to face.
I know. I love that this relationship between us started with me teaching a class. What, like 5 years ago?
Yeah, it had to have been like, I feel like maybe 4.
Okay.
No, I
A
mean,
while.
yeah, it's been a while. It was a few years ago. We'll say a few years.
And now we've become like Instagram chat besties, which I love and
Yes.
is needed in our industry.
100%. And it's getting to the point where like all of my favorite people are my Insta besties. I don't know, like I think I need to plan a couple of flights to like actually spend some time with my Insta besties,
I
including
know.
you.
Well, you don't really have time to hang out with like actual humans because I feel like we're so busy. It's only, friendships are just maintained either over the phone or in a voice memo chat. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So it doesn't even really matter if you live by people anymore.
Right, exactly.
So tell everybody who you are.
Yep. So my name is Gina Micheletti. I am a salon owner in Nashville. I opened my salon about exactly 2 years ago. We specialize in color and extension. So, Allison, obviously, I met you teaching a class for a big brand years ago. Um, and what else? I was a suite owner for several years before that. I was like that psycho that had one suite and then two and then like four before I moved into salon ownership. And I'm also like you, an educator and coach. So teaching hair extensions.
Yes. And some people may recognize you from a popular TV show. So
Oh, yeah.
that's fun.
That too. I also married a stranger. So I was on Married at First Sight in Nashville. I always forget that as my fun fact, but that's always a good icebreaker with anyone is what is it, like two truths and a lie?
Yeah.
That's one that I can always get people on. So,
Yes, I love that. I love that. Okay. So what year did you do that? Because that was right after you educated for us.
yep. So the show was filmed in the fall of 22.
Oh
So,
my gosh. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. And that was right after you educated with us. So yeah, it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep. So pretty
Time flies.
crazy. Now it's
Yeah.
on it's just recently as of last December aired on Netflix. So it's like we did the weddings and then everything like the dust settled for a while and then it came back like a year later and we are like, here we are. So I still randomly will like people will stop me in the airport and be like, are you still with your husband? I'm like, no, that's like 3 years ago. I've had a boyfriend for 2 years. So it's interesting. Things on television, they just live in real time, even if it was several years ago. So
Do
it's
you
funny.
feel like your Instagram following like hikes when things like that happen because
It
of people seeing you on there?
it did, but it almost bit me in the foot a little bit, honestly.
I
I
was going
mean,
to ask that because
yeah,
your target demographic isn't people that see you on TV.
yeah, exactly. So when I started, I built everything pretty much through social media in my suite, and um, I was big on posting like educational stuff when I did work for Bellamy, and then ended up once I got into the ops and like salon ownership, social media just kind of like fell to the wayside a little bit. And then obviously the show hit. So the majority of my audience on Instagram is like, I don't want to say crazy because some of them are really nice, but a lot of Married at First Sight fans. And I'm really trying to build back into like the education sector to get back on stylist page. So that's
I feel
almost been a
that.
little bit of a struggle.
I feel that because every time I make an inspirational video that has nothing to do with hair, I regret it. Especially if
Yeah.
it does really well and I get all these followers. I'm like, wait, no, that's not who I
I
wanted.
want hair. I want hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
So same for me. I had a ton of following that was stylists that would take my class because I was doing 1 to 2 classes a month for almost 5 years, and then did the show. And then I hiked up to like I think I have a little over 50,000, but the majority of them are not stylists. Some of
Mm.
them are though, and they're stylists in like different states that saw me in the show and could relate with like my story and my business. But the majority of them are not hairstylists anymore.
Mm. Well, speaking of social media and going viral and being popular,
Congrats. Congrats.
I don't know, man. I made a video last week, sometime 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And I don't know. I guess I'm really trying to find like my voice as how I want to be portrayed, I guess you could say. And like for me, I know my personality and I know how I speak and my tone and my sarcasm and things like that. And I know that I'm like a nice person and not like this like catty salon owner that like has
We relate because we are similar in that regard.
yeah, yeah. But when I speak on an Instagram video, I forget sometimes that these people don't know me. Um, so anyways, I made a video that I felt like was really good. And it was talking about how 20 years ago, not necessarily 20 years ago, but about 16 years ago, a client of mine said to me, I would never go to a stylist with chip nail polish. Now, this is in the beginning of my career. This is a really nice woman. Like it was just something that she said. And so I used that to basically talk about how people will complain about their prices or not their prices, but people not paying their prices and people complaining about their prices, but they're coming to work looking like shit. And I didn't necessarily say that. And maybe I should, and maybe people would have understood where I was coming from a little bit more, but not everyone loved what I did say. And so while some people were like, yes, I love this. This is exactly how I feel. Like it's about time we talk about this. Like Mary from Behind the Chair tapped in, Lori Harder, who I like absolutely love, tapped in. A bunch of people were commenting who I look up to and really amazing people in the industry agreed, which is fabulous. And then a lot of people didn't. And from, now looking at it, I'm like, well, I know who I wouldn't want on my team. I know who I wouldn't hire, but it doesn't make it any easier to get that much hate on the internet.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like we struggle with this a lot in my salon, honestly. And I know that the demographic and like age has just the overall like way that you get ready is a lot more casual than it used to be, even when we started in the industry. Like I remember even in school, we would have like a really strict dress code. Our dress code in the salon is like, I want you to hit 2 out of 3. So I'm
That's
okay
what
if
we
you
say
come
too.
in. If you come in looking casual, that's fine. Like if you want to wear athleisure, if you will, because it's popular, or even like sweats or whatever it is, like you better have your hair and your makeup on point. And it's a constant issue. I started assigning DORs to my girls, so like their division of responsibility. And I have one girl that comes in looking like on point every day. She's always there early. She always looks good. And she's a single mom. So she has like the biggest excuse out of everyone not to look good. But I put her in charge because I just got sick of like asking my stylist to get ready. I'm like, I hate making people. I'm like, so since you're getting it done every day and these are your peers, like, let's just put you in charge and you let me know. And it's become one of those things that it's like, it's so hard too to maintain like that and arriving to work on time. It's like, that borderline, like, okay, well, I don't want to fire someone over that, but like, what do you do with these people if they just don't get it? Like, what do you guys do with them?
So here's the thing. And that's what some people were saying. Like people were offering me advice as if this happened yesterday, or as if I was like insinuating that I have this huge dress code problem in my salon, which I definitely have. And I've had a dress code in my salon, and then I've not had dress codes in my salon. So back before COVID, I implemented an all black dress code because people were coming in looking absolutely crazy and their jeans were ripped from their ankles up to their underwear. Like I remember one time I saw one of my stylists like red underwear and I'm like, not that like if it was black, it would have been better.
Process?
But I'm like, I can see your undies.
Oh, the side boob. I've had a girl that wore like a sweater with the big armpits, and she was like leaning over to shampoo at borderline like nipple hanging out. I'm like, girl, like,
We can't have this.
do we have like a bralette? Like, what do we have here? Like,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
just not looking in the mirror, you know?
Yeah. And I totally, I'm all about personal style. I'm all about like grunge. If you want to be grunge, like be grunge, be whatever you want to be. But the 2 out of 3 rule is really, really important for me. I feel like it goes without saying, but apparently you do have to say it. Like your hair and makeup has to be done if your outfit is played down. If your makeup is played down, or I've had people in the past say to me, like, I'm doing like a no makeup thing. Like I'm not wearing makeup. And I'm like, cool. You're my assistant. You're standing next to me all day. And my client just asked me if you feel okay because your cheeks are red because you're running around the salon sweating. Also, she thinks you're 12.
Like, just a little bit, like just a little bit.
Just a little
Well,
bit.
it's always that you don't want to cross boundaries too, because it's like you almost feel bad because you don't want to be like, hey, you look like shit. But it's also like, I get the natural, like it's always
Mark's like, I never wear makeup and no one says I look like shit.
Yeah, it is.
Well, no,
like you don't want to hurt feelings, but it's like you have to, like, we're in an industry for beauty. It's what we're selling. We're selling beauty. Like you have to look your best.
Yeah, I think it's a time and place too where maybe we didn't want to hurt feelings initially, but I think now, based on where I'm seeing the world going to, and I'm not in the salon like you guys are every day, but seeing that I want to be part of the correction because I feel like we're getting too lax with everything.
Mm.
So now I'm being like extreme on those certain things to ensure that it doesn't continue to like sway the other way. We had I had an issue with somebody being late, and eventually, and this is within our digital agency. So what we ended up doing, I ended up fining him $2 a minute,
Ooh,
and then he stopped being late. He was early.
I love it.
So like little things like that I've
And
had
that's
to
like a
implement.
fun way to be like, all right, cool. You're just going to pay
Yeah,
me
yeah.
if you're late. That's fine. You can take all
Yeah.
day. I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
paying for
love
my
that.
coffee. 10
Well,
minutes late, that's a latte.
right? Exactly. Starbucks is expensive these days. I will say too, like, I know it's also like a trickle down effect from a leadership standpoint that I had to do like a deep dive internally because when I was opening my salons, it's like, like you're wearing all the hats. So I'm like dealing with contractors, I'm running around, things are running late. Like I'm just chicken with my head cut off for probably like a year and a half that I was just getting shit together. And so where I used to spend a lot of time getting ready, I noticed myself being like, okay, I got to go. So it was like a hat day, throw on some bronzer, joggers, whatever it may be. And almost, I think, subconsciously using the excuse of like, well, I own the place. So like, it's fine. And I realized like, without noticing even 6 months later, like, oh shit, like I've set this precedent of like, now this is what we wear because whether or not I realize it, they're watching me all the time. And so they don't see me running around all the time necessarily, but they do see when I walk into work and I don't look 100%. So I've really got into a lot of like time blocking. That's for like a different episode, but
Oh,
really
yeah.
blocking in the time of like my to-do list is never ending. So like me getting ready needs to go on that to-do list. Even today, like I almost hopped on here in a clip and I was like, no, like I've got to curl this hair. Like we were talking about beauty, but making sure that I'm carving in the time because if they're seeing me come in every day, then it starts to reset the precedent of like, all right, if she's getting ready, I can't look like shit because she's even busier than I am, you know?
Yeah. And well, what you said about that stylist that you put in charge, I have a similar stylist in my salon. She actually just returned from out of state. She has 4 children and she always looks beautiful. She
Mhm.
literally always looks so put together. Her outfits are on point. Her makeup's always done. Her hair always looks good. Never has it ever been an excuse. And she's just the one that pops to mind because she's the busiest person, right? Like
That's
she's
what I was gonna say. Is she like the most booked and her
she
retention's really
is the
high and
most
stuff?
booked. Yeah, she
Yeah.
just returned as the level 4 or 5 stylist in my salon. Like she had the assistants. She was top educator in my salon. Her sales were the highest, working 3 days a week. Like she was the most booked, the busiest, the most successful when it comes to money and I would say just attitude, everything. Like she was what people want to be. But it's like if you want to be that, then you have to show up as that. And when
Yeah.
you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you do better work.
100%.
I
People
look
preach it
in
all the time and they don't like
Yes,
I'm my own worst enemy sometimes with that. I'm like, I know that if I come to work looking 100%, even if I like threw on a blazer with jeans, like it's going to
100%.
be the best damn hair that I did that day. And
Yeah,
I'm like selling product and looking good, rebooking everyone. And it's just because I feel more confident when I'm not looking in the mirror and feeling like I see trash,
yeah,
like
because we
because I
have to
gotta
look in
look
the
good.
mirror too. So you look
Yeah.
up and you just like don't
Ugh.
feel
Mhm.
confident. Like it kills your vibe. It really does, whether
Yeah.
people want to admit it or not. It does. Mark, I think just like more relating to like your world, it's interesting because Mark's girlfriend is a celebrity stylist.
Okay.
And it's like, imagine like people are hiring her to dress them to be taken to look their best and to
Yeah.
be a certain like level of success. Like people are literally hiring her to dress them. Now, I'm not saying we're
Yeah.
in the fashion industry because I mean we kind of are, kind of whatever, however you want to
Mhm.
look at that. But our clients are looking at us as the answer to all of their beauty, fashion secrets. Like
Yeah.
they're asking us, what shoes should I wear with this outfit? Like, do you think like, hey, I'm going to a wedding this weekend. Like, do you think, this hairstyle will look good with this dress? Like, they're coming to us with all these things and people are literally hiring people to dress them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and we're actually had this a similar conversation with one of the she's a makeup artist that we manage internally as well, and as we're reorchestrating her career, and I love what you said, Gina, as well about like the time blocking and finding the time to put these things into your schedule because not everybody is going to be great at everything. So, and they might not even realize how big of an impact. And that's why I'm so excited that you even made that video in the first place, was because people, we want to ruffle feathers because we're paving the way for the future and we want to sharpen people. And not everybody is going to be ready to hear that when we're explaining it to them. However, we know that it is best. And especially in like the model in which we're building everything. So within the time blocking, within the being intentional, within creating social media, there's so much that you need to do in this day and age that you need to time block and make all of these things happen, and then use AI to supplement different things. But going back to like the being presentable, you can get by and probably do great work that way, but you're not going to become your highest potential. You're not going to become your best and most successful. And you also, if you're not going to feel good doing it, then you're not, like, it's a deeper rooted problem than you didn't have time. Then we have to kind of almost like bring it all the way back to where it stems from. Okay, you're disorganized, or maybe you're overwhelmed right now. Maybe you
like
do
burnout. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to analyze like the core and the root of the problem. Then we can actually analyze, how to get you to be your best and to have the time to do all of these things. And what's going to happen on the other side of that is not, I made more money because I'm dressing better now. It's that I'm living a more balanced life, making more money, and a more fruitful life in every area of it. And I think that's where we kind of have to stem everything from.
Yeah. A lot of people were like, going with the whole like, oh, well, this person's successful and they always have chipped nail polish. I'm like, okay, you're taking that way too literally. It's not about chipped nail polish. It's
We're
literally
really overanalyzing this. Yeah.
It's really just about that clients want a stylist. Maybe not all of them, maybe not every single client, but the clients who are paying top dollar and getting high quality services and investing their time and money, for the most part, want a stylist that's put together and that takes their career seriously. Imagine I show up on stage to teach at an event and I'm in sweats, no makeup, and my hair is all frizzy and a ponytail on top of my head. And I say to my audience, I don't care how you guys look at me. If you don't want to take me seriously, that's fine. You're paying me to speak, not to look pretty. Like, no, they're paying me
no credibility. You just lost all your credibility.
Like, no one would ever say that. And when you're a hairstylist, you're on stage. Like, they're paying to see you. They're paying to spend time in your chair.
Yeah, it's just one of those things too that you've signed up for. It's like, if you're going to work in this industry, you've literally signed up to be in the beauty industry. And I think we pretty much have it made. At least I know in my experience as someone that has, like, before I got into salon ownership and still currently, like, for me, I do pretty well behind the chair. Now that all gets reinvested back in the salon currently, but I truly like live the dream when I can look and be like, okay, some days like I'm bringing in the same amount as like a lawyer or like a doctor even.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I live the dream. I get to like listen to music and paint all day and like talk to girls. Like, that's really fun. So it's like, if the bare minimum responsibility of my job is to get dressed and look pretty, like, what's the excuse really?
What is the pushback?
And it's exactly what Mark said. Like, it's when I look back on that time that I was like in a hat every day and like rushing out the door, it was a core issue of like, I'm burnt out. Like, I don't feel good. I feel tired. I'm not getting rest. I'm not prioritizing myself. Like, that's really what the issue was. It wasn't as much time as it was like me internally not feeling good. So then I just wasn't getting dressed. And I have noticed like a big uptick in the way I'm coaching my team and the way that I'm leading and the way that I'm operating. And I feel a lot more rested, just truly getting ready every day, which is interesting.
Yeah. I added freaking 3 hours out of my day so I could take better care of myself because I don't have time the rest of the day. If I want to do my hair, I have to wake up early. If I want to work out, I have to wake up earlier. Like, I have to do those things to take care of myself. It's not ever going to be an excuse of like, well, I don't care what people think about me. I'm going to do what I want.
Or the excuse of time. I always laugh when even people in your, like, my inner circle, like family, like, I know they have good intent, but I love to work. I like to work. Like, it's a hobby of mine. I'm never going to be that person that would rather like the work-life balance. Like, I would rather watch this show. Like, if I'm watching the show, I'm thinking about like vision and strategy and things I can do to work. And so that's a hobby of mine. Like I do enjoy it, but I know, family and other friends or whatever, like, oh, you don't have time for that. You don't have time. I'm like, everyone has time. Like, it's just a matter of what you prioritize. Like I had time somehow to run a salon, do hair, build a salon, and film a TV show 60 hours a week at one point in life. And I still was like making it all happen. There were just other things that didn't take priority over that. So I think it's, again, like everyone has the time on this conversation to get ready or do whatever you want. It's just a matter of how you're going to prioritize that.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
it's like it's depending. That's what we like. Everything that we do, we always like map it back to the person and what they actually want, and to make sure their ambitions match their actions. And like you said, like family, they might say, "Oh, you can't do this or you can't do that." They care about you, and they think that you can't handle that. And
Mhm.
what it comes down to, I think, is even like as you are time blocking your day or making time to take care of yourself, is so important, because otherwise, if you are working and stressed out and rushing everywhere, drinking all the coffee in the world, then it compounds over time. And I've noticed in my life, because listen, also, this isn't like oh, you fix it once and then you're good the rest of your life, right? Things happen and then you have to say, oh, fuck, I got to like reorg. Like
Yeah.
I'm getting too short with people because I haven't slept and I had to do this extra project, whatever. I'm starting to get closer to burnout. I need to reorganize and get myself back to that place that I know is best. And I think a lot of people don't even realize what their best state is. It really takes a lot of action on your end to figure out how to live your best life.
Mm.
And if we take it back to like a defining moment in your career where like maybe you flipped that switch where from taking your business seriously, can you like take us to a point where things like a major shift happened in your career?
100%. I mean, I know of like positive and a negative one, like for sure and Allison and I have talked about this a lot in voice memos at 5 a.m. Um, but I think for me, like when I hit what I would consider, I don't want to say the glass ceiling in like a negative way, but it 100% was when I hit like me making the most money, me feeling in control of my time, I was working out every day. I was prioritizing like 5:30, 6:30 a.m. workouts. I was taking time to like be intentional with friends and family and even my dog, like spending time doing things that I love. And that carried into me feeling super fruitful. And then once I opened my salon, I'm just now, I think, getting out of, I really dove into like scarcity mindset, because when you make a big investment, I mean, first I signed on a space, had like a terrible contractor situation. I lost like $100,000, literally like boom, like, see ya, like blew it away.
You're like,
And
you guys need this more
truly,
than I do.
truly
Just have
overnight,
it.
like had a space that I signed the lease, waited like 8 months for permits, started the build out. And then the contractor was like, oh, by the way, this is like 300% higher than I told you it was going to be. So I paid like 25,000 to get out of that lease in the midst
Damn.
of filming the show. Found a place, signed on that because it was like a turnkey space, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a salon. It was like a piece of shit. By the time I got in, it was like destroyed. So invested way more in that. And that was the time that like I really did. And it's not all about money ever, but like when you're at a point where you're like bringing home $12,000 a month and you're used to like that lifestyle, it's a lot easier to prioritize then you're like all of a sudden like you're out of money. You're like waking up in panic. Like I was burnt out. Like, is this the dream? Is this what I want? I'm a person that approaches everything with like grit and determination, and I've like been through it. So it just failure wasn't really like an option for me. It still isn't. But it took me realizing like, okay, this is a season. Like I'm in this season of feeling like failure and scarcity and all these things, which is to our point, like was pouring into the way that I looked, how much coffee I was drinking, how big of a hurry I was in, stopped working out altogether, like all of those things. And then again, had that moment of like, all right, it's time to get it back into check. Like this might not be what I envisioned, but I'm still just now 38 years old. And I'm like, I've done a lot more than what I planned at this age. And there's still potential for me to build like however many $1 million salons I want and lead in education and make an impact. And I would say probably in the last like 8 months, I've really started prioritizing my time and making myself rest a little bit more, and knowing that like just because you're having problems in the business, that's just a way to grow. It doesn't mean you're doing things wrong. You just have to learn through like a lot more mistakes than people do if they aren't entrepreneurs. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. And now I'm like getting ready a little more. I've been really doing Pilates a lot. I
Oh, I
like
love that. I've been wanting
Pilates.
to do Pilates.
Oh, it's even if it's not like the craziest in high intensity workout, like it's a stretch and it's like therapeutic. So things like that I'm like, all right, what do I really love? Like I love education and I stopped getting out of education to handle like building systems and processes, which I like hate. But I've had to do it. And so it's like I'm starting to work more in the things that I love and prioritizing time for that. And so I've hit both of the shifts.
I think that to your comment about losing all that money, I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning who's going through some business stuff. And I realized that like no one in my life that is wildly successful, none of my friends that own huge companies or whatever, none of my friends that are wildly successful that I look up to haven't been through something
Yeah.
absolutely detrimental. And it's like you have to realize that like not everyone's story is pretty and that's just part of your story. So, when you are doing all of the things and, overcoming all of these obstacles and growing, you can then pass that on to other people. And when you tell them that you lost $100,000 in a bad investment or whatever, it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you are taking these risks and building these businesses. It's not all pretty. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. And everyone goes through a lot of shit to get to where they want to go.
Yeah.
And that's just part of your
And that
story.
vulnerability is like powerful. It's like part of the reason that I keep going is because of the entrepreneurs that I surround myself with that are like, hey, this is like you said, like this is what happens. Like either you grow through what you go through is what my friends say. It's like you just have to figure it out
How would you
and know the worst
compare?
case scenario
Yeah.
isn't what you probably think it is,
Yeah, exactly. It gets worse.
Yeah.
It can always get worse. How would you compare your level of stress as a salon owner to your level of stress as a suite owner, or like even just your level of responsibility? How was that
Oh my
transition?
God. It's crazy. It's so crazy. It's like you really do think that I mean, I expected a little bit more stress, but I will say that as your demand for stress gets higher, your like capacity grows with it. So like my capacity for stress is way higher than it was when I was a suite owner. Like I would say recently we had like this arson fire in our building and one of my girls called like homeless man literally threw and we're in a very nice area, like very reputable upscale area. Homeless man like threw something in our upstairs neighbor, tried to catch the building on fire. My girl calls, or I called her actually because she was going to be at the salon before me. And she was like, the amount of casual in your voice was like, I'm just like, hey, there's been a fire. I'm on my way. Like, no big deal. Let me know. Fire department's on the way. Like, it's because my capacity for detrimental things and stress is so much higher. And I feel like I'm okay with risk a little bit more than I used to be. But I think when you're in a suite, you can't even realize like it's the same thing as when you go from a commissioned stylist into a suite. You think it's going to be like, oh, I'm running my own business and this is it. And then you get in and you're like, oh my God, I'm like running my own business by myself. Now I have to go to the beauty supply and market myself and do all these things. Being a salon owner for a brick and mortar is like 10x that. It's like you're not in control of just yourself. It's like I'm now over all of these people and my livelihood actually depends on them because you're in this massive suite that you can't afford just with you. It's like these people have to produce or I'm in big trouble. So that's been the biggest difference is I know I can produce all day long, but when my overhead's like 40,000 and I produce 20, it's like, okay, wait, now everyone has to produce or we're evicted. Like we got to figure
Yeah.
it out. So
Shit gets real. I
yeah.
mean, really. And I never had a suite. I was in business with my family pretty early on after beauty school.
Mhm.
So it just, and also suites weren't even a thing, but just being an independent stylist in any capacity, even if it was a booth rental salon, was never on my radar, mainly because I've always just loved a team thing.
Mhm.
So whether I was on a team or had my own team, that was just where my vision was. But I do think that if I didn't end up opening a salon with my family and building my own team, I probably would have ended up in a suite
Yeah.
because I like to control my environment, I guess you could say. And I feared what things went on in other salons. So I wanted to be in control of that. But I hear a lot of people saying on the internet, and I've had people say this in my salon, and I've had people reach out to me on the internet with looking for advice on what their best pathway would be. And lot of the time I hear people say the same thing, and it's like, well, I am making the salon all this money as a commission stylist. I may as well, I want to keep all the money. So I'm going to go into a
Mm.
suite because I'm doing it all anyway. I'm handling my own clients, and, I'm doing it all anyway. And it's like, when you go into a suite, I don't
You
even have to be
realize.
one to know, because I've run a salon and I already know all those hidden things that you don't realize you're gonna have to do. But firsthand that
Yeah.
shit gets handed to you, and you're like, oh, this is what I signed up for.
Well, and I think that so many stylists they're mistaken because they think that they get to keep 100% of their gross, right? They're just used to seeing their paycheck, and they're used to seeing really don't look at their top line revenue either. And so, um, I had a lot of friends that I've coached through that are suite owners, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I brought in like 90,000." They're like, "Hell yeah, I made 90,000." And I'm like, "Okay, well, after you look at it, what did you actually like take home?" And they're like, "Oh," like once they go through their
You're
profit
like
and loss or
40.
their balance sheet, they're like, "Yeah, I brought home 40." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. So you're floating at like a 35% commission rate to do all the work on your
Yeah.
own." So
And you could have been making 50% or more in a commission salon.
right. It's one of those things that you really do think that you make more money because you're seeing all the money.
You're touching it all.
And in a salon, I would say, the biggest difference in like being a suite owner versus a salon owner, is that if I'm not going to make my rent that week, I'm just going to hustle my ass off to get like two more clients. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to make rent. I just need to work. So you're only in control of yourself, and that's it. And so it makes it a lot easier. Whereas if we're not going to make rent, it's like there's no amount of clients that I could take to make sure that the rent's getting paid. It's like my team has to produce. But I think that's the biggest thing. And we just switched our entire compensation plan, not really to like a profit share model, but I think salon owners they're just accustomed to being like 50% is what we like pick out of thin air, and that's what everyone gets paid because I don't want to lose my team, and this is what people are doing across the street, and they don't curate their own compensation plan to like their overhead and what it takes to run their business. And for me, I did it for 2 years, and I was rocking like a 18% commission rate as a stylist because I had to overpay all my like underperformers that weren't bringing
Mhm.
in enough money for what it even cost to have them in the building. So I just switched everything over to a model of like, you get paid commission if you hit 1,500 in 2 weeks. And you start at 30%, and then it works all the way to 60%. Cause I know that I would be at 60% based off of my revenue. So I'm like, if I can do it, why can't I coach you to do it? But it goes in increments of like 30, 35, 40, 40, like all the way up. And it switches every pay period. And
I
so
love
it's
that.
like your sales are based on your pay period. There's no more like level jumping or anything like that. It's like you're going to get paid appropriate to what you produce, like any normal sales job does. And I can coach you how to do that. So that's been helpful for me because I was like, just all the cash that was coming in, I was going to pay people that really, like, some of my stylists aren't bringing in enough to pay what it costs to have them there. And so it's like, how can I also give you 50% of that? So
Yeah,
that's been a big change for us.
I think it's also good that you're able to say like, "Hey, we're doing things differently now." And not a lot of people can say that with confidence
Mhm.
or grace. Like, they start to doubt that like people are going to be upset if they change things. But I think that's something that's been really beneficial for me as an owner too, is that I'm not afraid to switch how things are done. I'm not afraid to say like, "Hey, that's not working anymore. We're
Mhm.
going to switch up how we're doing things." And I've had to do that many times over the last 16 years. And as long as like you have a reason behind it and you're honest and open with your team, and I love that it switches every pay period, because I think a lot of people, they get to a certain level, but then they start underperforming because they get tired, or they
Yeah.
just feel like relaxing a little bit. So they end up raising their commission or raising their prices and their percentage, but then they're performing at a lower level, and it kind of bites you in the butt. So it's like, yeah, it definitely, I can definitely see how that would work. I love that you've
Yeah.
switched that.
And it gives them a growth plan. It's like, hey, like you really have to look at it and think like, okay, well, if you're in a suite and for me, if I went into a suite, I could take home 60%. So it's like, why couldn't I do that in a salon? Like, what's the difference? And the difference is that these owners just kind of choose a 48, 50% commission
Mhm.
rate because that's what everyone does. And so in order to pay someone that's a low performer, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you're a low performer, you're growing.
Yep.
It could be that you're like slacken. But typically it's because you're new or you're growing and you need this growth plan to get you to a specific point where you can make more. But you have to cap people at 50% if you want to pay your low performers 45 or 48%. And so just learning the business behind it, I think our industry doesn't know a lot of the time. I know in my area, at least, it's like, what do you get paid? And it's like, oh, it's 50%. And they don't really know why they chose that. It just kind of felt like that's what they were supposed to do.
They're
It
in a
had
salon
nothing to
Facebook
do
group.
with their numbers. Yeah, it's like they don't know. So
Yeah, I love that you evolved too, because as we're seeing how fast the world of beauty is evolving, I think that's why it's so so important to evolve as a business as well, to see like, okay, especially this next generation that's coming into the salon, it's not the same as it was before, so we can't treat it as such. So I love the idea of evolving the program whenever necessary to, number one, ensure if people are getting a little too lax with it, that they have to step up and it's going to financially help them, or to make the younger people coming in work harder to get to where they see that they can go. So I love that you did that.
yeah, and even rewarding your high performers, like if you have someone that's bringing in $25,000 a month, like they should get paid 60+%, right? And if they're sitting at the same commission rate that someone that's bringing in under half of the same amount, it's like, why not go into a suite? Like
I
you're
I
not
would
paying
too.
me appropriately. Like I'm just going to go into a suite. So that's kind of what I had to do. It's like, well, I got fired from my own salon, but we're past that. We're friends now, me and that salon owner. But at the time, it's like I didn't really know numbers or business the way I do now. But it's like if she kept me at a 50% commission rate and I was bringing in $20,000+ a month, it wouldn't make any sense for me to stay there. So it's like if you're rewarding your high performers with a commission rate that's appropriate to what they're bringing in, they might love everything
Yeah.
else about being
and
there.
and that's the thing too, and that's one thing that, as we've created Mastermind Beauty, something we've really been speaking about is the truths of every single lane. What does it actually mean? Because we know social media makes having a suite or doing your own thing so sexy and admirable.
Mm-hmm.
You should do that's made for everybody. Why build someone else's dream when you could be building your own, all of this stuff? And now, if we're in a
Sorry.
place where, oh, it's not good. If we're in a place that everybody actually knows what each of these scenarios looks like, and they know themselves enough to say that this is where I should be, right? Because we feel like there's a lot of animosity that's being built up within the beauty industry because there's all of these misunderstandings about what it actually looks like. And that's why we want to be so vocal about it, and appreciate you being so vocal about what it actually is like to make the investment into something, how much you have to deal with in all of these different lanes. So that way, if you're rewarding people for keeping them within your business to make a higher commission rate based on how well they're doing, but also being transparent about what it actually looks like if they were to do something on their own. I think that transparency just helps everyone live their best life,
Mm-hmm.
versus seeing the grass is greener on the other side and then realizing, oh shit, I made a mistake, but I've already ruined that relationship because I left on bad terms and couldn't have the hard conversation. And that's what I see. There's so much toxicity that's in the beauty industry right now. And that's why we just trying to be as vocal as possible across the board.
Yeah. Have those honest conversations.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes a suite is better for somebody. Like no hard feelings. Like if that's what you want. But I think it is, to your point, a lot of, or I would say the majority of stylists that go into it are, and half the time it's probably not even a money thing. It's like they're missing something in their salon that the leader isn't providing. And they're like, they feel almost forced into something different.
I agree. A lot of
and
times it has nothing to do with the money.
yeah, it's like they didn't have a growth plan or they didn't feel like they were being heard or they needed extra education or whatever it is. So,
Or they wanted to come to work looking like a slob.
that is true. Or that. They
It
just
could
want
be
to come
that.
to work looking like shit.
I want to make sure that we leave some time to touch on extensions because obviously we met in the extension world, but also like you are just so knowledgeable in the extension world. And there's a lot of change going on with extension companies and all the, salons carrying lines, starting their own lines, things like that. So can we talk about that a little bit?
We sure can. Yeah.
Where do you think the extension business is going right now in salons?
I mean, I've seen a huge shift over the last like even year and a half. And I think knowledge is power. Like I think a lot of salon owners and stylists are noticing that like the bigger brands, in my experience, I noticed it, that the bigger brand isn't necessarily working for the stylist or for the salon owner, which is the advertising, right? It's like they're marketing like we're for you, like we're for the salon owner, we're for the stylist, and they're really just big brands that are trying to scale their own business and make a profit, which no shame. That's what everyone's doing. But I think there's a lot of misconception about where hair used to be and where it is now with the big brands in terms of like quality, ethical practices, like who they're serving, right? I think the big brands are serving the consumer more so than the salon owner, or equal parts. We had a client just the other day that had a consultation with us, and she legitimately put hair in her cart on her phone, and showed it at the register like, this is what my hair costs, so how come I'm paying this for this package? And so the consumers are really starting to control, I mean, the salon owner's profit margin. And I had to
Yeah.
tell my team, I'm like, imagine going to Target and being like, hey, what do you pay for this shirt, because I want to pay that, and like trying to negotiate what the price is. And no shame on the consumer, like they don't know, right? Like they don't realize that your package is set a certain amount so that you can actually come in, because I have overhead to pay for to even invite you in here, and I have to pay a team and all the things. So it happens in everything. It happens in stores, it happens in restaurants. Like you go to a steakhouse and get a filet, and you're not like, well, I could buy that at Whole Foods for,
No, let's not even talk about what
20
a
bucks.
bottle of wine costs at,
Yeah,
you know.
everything, it's called profit margin. Like we all give each other money for things. That's like literally how the world works. And I think in our industry, we've kind of shot ourselves in the foot, because it's like, well, I'll just give it to you at my cost, or I'll give it to you at this amount. And these big brands are also like selling to consumers and selling to salons alike. And so the consumer can control what you charge for something. And so I think private labeling is taking a big turn, and salon owners and stylists alike are paying more attention to what, and they're learning more, at least I have been, about like the business side of like, okay, how does this actually work? Am I getting the best quality product? Because it's marketed as such, but is it actually that? And really just keeping something that's exclusive. Like I know with us, like we private label our own hair. I'm great friends with my distributor. She has an entire coaching program around helping salons build their own brand. And our product is exclusive. It's exclusive to salons. Like if you're not partnered with them, you aren't logging in. Like, and it ups the value of what we offer, because you can't just go into any salon in Nashville and be like, I want this. You can't get it unless you come to us. So it just kind of bumps up the luxury of it. But it also allows us to maintain quality control and know where things are coming from. And we control the profit margins of it based on what's appropriate for our demographic and for our salon.
I saw a video that Rachel, who you're talking about,
Yeah.
put out of going to, I believe it was,
Shanghai.
yeah, Shanghai.
Yeah.
And she like basically showed like how the hair is made, where it's coming
Mhm.
from, who's doing it. And I loved that. I
The
showed a
first
lot of
person
people
to
that
like
video.
ever do that.
Yeah. I
And
mean, it's
she was
important.
scared. Like she was like, "Oh shit." Like she was like getting on the plane, like, what if this is like all a sham? Like she's like, we're gonna have to shut it down. Like if we get there and this is like these people aren't being paid a livable wage and the place is like trash, like you don't
Yeah.
know. And unfortunately, like I remember when I worked like for Bellamy, they would show us videos, but it was kind of like secret. Like, well, don't show anyone this, well,
Yeah.
why? Like, why can't we see it? Like, what are they actually doing? Like, are you guys
Yeah.
hiding something? And so
How
I
to get
think
my
that was,
hair.
yeah, I think it was important for her to show like, and to know like, hey, we're still in a partnership with people internationally in Asia. Like, that's where we get our products. Like, we want to make sure that these people are making a livable wage, that they're getting like that everything that's being done is being done ethically. Like that's a huge part of my business. And I've taught my girls that in the salon too. Like if you want to bring in, I mean, I posted a reel about it too. Like that's why we don't want your Amazon hair coming in. Like I don't know
Mhm.
where that's coming from. You're now representing my brand if I put it in. So if it's shedding and it's tangly and it came from a temple or whatever it was, like that's now representative of my brand. And so yeah, we just want to make sure that we can maintain that quality control, which is really, really hard to do when you're using a product that's sourced internationally. So I think that's cool that she's opening the conversation and also not afraid to like expose, if you will, like what's really happening out there. And she's doing it not even for her own like notoriety or anything. She's doing it because she's a salon owner herself and she really has dealt with the same struggles just like you guys are. And she wants people to know like what's out there to be knowledgeable about it.
Yeah, I think the thing that people struggle with in the industry when it comes to brands that they partner with is so many people are quick to go to what's popular. And
Mhm.
I guess you could call me a disruptor. I don't know. I think that's what we're called when
I
you
think
just
we
wanna,
are,
like,
yeah.
when you just want to go against the grain and you're like, no, I don't want to use the color line that everyone else is using. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to do what's popular. I don't want to do what everyone else is doing because number one, I want to stand out. And number two, I don't know. I don't like to do what everyone else is doing. And number three, half these brands aren't even like looking out for our best interest. They're just
Mhm.
popular because they had a good marketing strategy and they got
Yeah.
popular. And there's a lot of talk about that going on in the color world right now, but especially now in the extension world. And what I've noticed over the last couple of years, I've been trying to shift the color ordering, I'm sorry, the hair extension ordering around a little bit and explore other brands that align more with our values and that actually have good quality hair that's not falling apart or that I don't have to complain about, the color when we put it in a client's head. And so I, as the owner, have to deal with all this and have all these conversations. And I got to the point where I was telling my team, I don't want to hear about it. If you're going to continue to order that hair, if you're going to continue to put orders in, for that company, then hopefully it goes well because I'm sick of making
Yeah.
phone calls. I don't believe in it, but I also felt bad making them switch because now they've got their clients hooked on this color and or this hair, and they've got something going already, so they're afraid to switch, and that happens a
Mhm.
lot in our industry. People are afraid to switch, but I've noticed over the last couple of years, people slowly falling out of love with these popular brands, whether we're talking about color or hair extensions. And I'm so happy that people are starting to realize that you do not have to go with what's popular. You can pivot and do your own thing. You can private label hair and be wildly successful doing that. You can have extension hair in the salon and it not cost, an arm and a leg to stock in your salon because you can actually profit more on the hair that you're selling. And there are so many solutions, but a lot of people don't have the capacity to even visit that of private labeling or switching, even just switching brands. So I
Mhm.
feel like Rachel's definitely like she's making a huge mark in the extension world and the private label world because she's making it a lot more easy for people and accessible. And I've noticed that just through her content. I don't know her personally or anything, and I haven't done any business with her, but I can just tell that she's making a lot easier for people to have access to this sort of opportunity.
Yeah. I think that change is scary too. It's like for me, I worked for them for Bellamy was the company I worked for 4.5 years. And so it's like you make all these connections with salon owners like yourself, right? Like that's how we met. And so when you change it up, it's like, especially if you're fiercely loyal, you're like, oh my God, like I feel bad. I feel like I've had this opportunity. And then you like subconsciously are like, am I a fraud now that I've like taught for this brand for so long? And you have to realize like companies change, like business models change. Like they did sell to a bigger corporation. It's not even the same people that own it anymore. And it's up to you to be like an early adapter and be able to like have the vision to know like, okay, where is this going to be a year from now? Because I gave them a fighting chance. Like it wasn't until I saw like Infinity Wefts literally shedding fully off the band and finding like pom pom strings and hair. I was like, all right, this is different, and it's either it's bad. I was like, this is different, and we still use Bellamy sometimes for certain things, but it's like knowing like, all right, this isn't how it started 5 or 6 years ago, and it's okay. Like they change, so we're going to adapt and change with it. And there's only so much that really great customer service, because that's what they have, can make up for. So it's like, that's awesome that you got, I mean, like Rachel said in a podcast recently, she had a great one about all of this. I think it launched today, but she's like, there's only so much that, I mean, they have a full return department. That's how often that they deal with people returning hair. They have an entire
Mhm.
department for it. So it's like they know that that's coming in and they will warranty the hair, which is probably why they do that. They have to have a warranty knowing like, hey, we'll send you free hair to make up for it. But for us, it was like, all right, well, if I do a full K-tip install And now I have to remove all of it, make my client come back in and apply new hair. And time is money. I've now wasted another 6 hours. That's really sweet of you to give me free hair, but I just lost 6 hours of my day fixing something
And hopefully not a client.
and inconveniencing my client, making them come back. So it's like, I don't think stylists realize how much the product quality actually affects your income and affects like your brand, So we just had to make the change, and it was scary. It's like, all right, I don't know all these colors. Like I used to be able to look at someone and be like, "You're hot toffee." Like I could just name it.
Why are you the one that got me addicted to hot toffee
Oh
though?
my God, I love that. I love that color, but it's like it ain't hot toffee anymore sometimes. So it's like hard to
Sometimes
deal
it's
with.
green toffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes it's warm
orange.
toffee.
So it's like we had to make the switch and be like, all right, like we're just gonna play around and hope that these colors match our client when they get in because they're different. But change is a little bit scary. But I just knew for my business, I'm like, okay, if I stick around with this, like there comes a point, and there is now that clients know, like they're like, I've heard Bellamy's gone downhill. Like they know.
They're
So it's
on
like
TikTok. They
if
see
your
all of it.
clients are bringing it to you, like I've done like a major disservice that like you're the one telling me that I should be changing things up. So um we just had a conversation today because I'm like, I still have my Bellamy hair wall and I like don't want to get rid of it because it's so pretty. But it's like it's just time. Like it's time to retire and build like a new wall with our hair. And we've been using this hair for over a year. Well, year in May. So it's like, all right, it's time to like change out the artwork and really commit.
Yeah, I think that you changing, you no longer being with the brand and going off and doing things differently gives you a lot of credibility because you have experienced it all and you are okay. Like same thing with salon ownership. You're okay with, adapting to change and pivoting and saying, oh yeah, no, that's not how we're going to do things anymore. I wondered when I kind of saw you moving away from that, I was like, oh, I wonder if she's still educating. And then my team loved having you come in as an educator. So they've been like wanting you back. Like, can we do another?
Well, we are doing education. So like,
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that.
That was the thing with like private labeling is like, all right, so now we've got this great product, but like, are we sending like salon owners and stylists to big brands to learn how to install it? Which is kind of what Bellamy did, right? It's like they started a product and then they were like, we got to do education. So I think there's like 10 of us maybe that work with Rachel, and it's been really cool. Like it's our brand still. So it's like if I came to teach in your salon, I'd still be bringing my like private labeled hair in and teaching whatever class you wanted. It's not necessarily directed back towards Rachel, which just shows you that you're building your own brand. It's like she helps us. She's kind of like our investor in the background. Like she helps us with everything, and helps us build like the website side of it for signups and the operational side of everything, because that's overwhelming. But then it's us coming in. She has no say over the classes. So like we build our own manuals. We teach what we want to teach. Like it's truly our education. She just kind of helps us with the distribution standpoint, which is really cool. So
I love
that's been
that.
fun. It's still like education working for the stylist or the salon owner, not you as a stylist or salon owner working for a brand.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
love
cool.
that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is definitely something that's definitely going to shake up the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you think about it too. Like when I taught for Bellamy, like I said, my daily rate was like a couple $100, like what, anything crazy. But there were like perks to being part of the brand, like it's sold and like it's shiny and you think it's like the Maserati, like I'm doing this amazing thing. But then you forget for me, like I started really paying attention to numbers and I'm like, oh my God, they're charging like $1,500 a ticket. I'm running around like a crazy educating 20 stylists. So we're rocking like 30 grand today,
Yeah. I'm
right?
flying all
Like
over the place, taking
yeah,
time
like
away from your
what
home
you
life.
brought in on this class was probably close to $30,000 and I got like 500. And so with us, it's a little bit different. It's like we actually like profit share on the classes and you're getting paid what you deserve for what you're doing, what's appropriate to what you're doing. So it's been pretty cool.
I love that. Changing the way that people are doing business in the industry is obviously necessary in salon ownership and commission salons, in business partnerships and who we're
Yeah.
actually doing business with. It's so important too to like talk about this because I think a lot of people are going to listen to this and they're going to go, I've been wanting to switch. And now I feel like actually, right before we hopped on, I was filming a TikTok talking about my experience switching color lines because I want to join that conversation on the internet, even though I'm probably going to get some hate for it.
Hey, we did that in
I'm ready.
October. We
Did you?
switched ours. Yeah.
Yep. I was just filming a TikTok and I didn't have enough time to finish it before we hopped on. So I'm going to start over when we're done. But I think a lot of people are going to hear this and hopefully hear my TikTok about switching and just get inspired to switch, because so many people are just doing what they've always done. They feel like they have to, and they're afraid of change. And there's just so much good that can come from switching things up and change. I love change. So I love to inspire people to do things differently, and to stand out and not just do what every other salon is doing just because it's popular.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's so interesting because you meet stylists. Like I had a stylist that I had to let go recently. We won't even get into it, but a lot of it was like, I think part of it that I heard through the grapevine was that like, well, she's just changing things and this and that. And I was like, I'm going to like always unapologetically going to change things.
yeah.
Like I'm always going to be growing, and that's part of my culture. Like I'm a growth minded person. So
Mhm.
if you're going to stay here and I'm going here and further, like eventually there's going to be a gap and you're not going to fit in with what I'm doing anymore. Like I have to have people that want to grow and evolve on my team. And that's only going to bring success to everybody if you're growing and keeping up with the trends or whatever. My girls make fun of me at the amount that I use like ChatGPT and stuff now because I freaking love AI. But you have to grow or you're going to get left in the dust, you know?
You have to. The day that we switched our color line, we lost 3 people, and I was like, "Bye,
For you.
yeah,
So
love
funny.
ya."
Yeah.
Like, I'm so sorry. Like the way that they went about it was like angry. It wasn't like, I really just love. It was like angry, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I love switching. Or not switching. I love growing. This is for everyone. This isn't like for me to be like, I want to see if I can fuck your world up. Like it was
Right.
like, no, I want everyone to like benefit from this amazing change, and it's
Well,
my salon. So I need to look out for the best interest of everyone here. And not everyone
and
will always love that.
I had this conversation earlier with one of my stylists because we've kind of held on. I'm realizing in this conversation that I like hold on to things a little bit, just like the Bellamy. I'm like, we still have like a little Bellamy, like just waiting. But the same with our color. Like we have another color line that we use, like a good amount of their color. And I'm realizing since the switch that like the results that I'm getting just look way more expensive. Like it looks rich in tone, rich in color. And I'm like, realizing I'm like, this isn't a color line problem. Like the fact that you just have to use this color line. This is like a formulation problem
Mhm.
because if you're not confident enough to formulate with a new line, then we need to work through that more so than like, I'm not going to use this. I want to use this line. Like what that tells me is you're just not confident in formulating. Because if you were, then it wouldn't matter what line you used.
Yeah,
And so
I
I told my girls, I was like, we're going to just have to do a formulation class because I want our hair to look expensive. And so if there's a line that looks more expensive, why would we use the other one? Like, let's use one that's providing better results and better longevity. And if you're scared to change that, it's because you're not confident in it. And that's
I
fine. Like,
always
we just need to work on that.
I always say some color lines make hairstylists and some make colorists.
Yeah.
And you just have to, if you're not comfortable, yeah, you need to learn the formulas.
I think that I learned that. And that was one of the good things about my suite. It's like, I didn't have any money and I didn't have enough space. So it's like, if I need to make a toner with like 10p and like a splash of 1b, like that's what I've got. It's like I have enough room to carry like 10 things. And it made me really, really good at formulating because I couldn't carry a full line of
Yeah.
everything. So I had to get good at it. So that's one thing I try to learn things like all the time. And so today I learned that I was like, okay, if these girls are like very nervous about, well, we just need to order this from the old color line. It's just that they're nervous in formulating. So we just need to have a class and be like, all right, what's like the root? Back to what Mark was saying.
Yeah, I
What's
was
like
just
the
gonna say
root of
Mark's
it?
real big on like, what is
There's
the
a
root
root.
cause here? What is the root problem?
This is not like we love this color. It's that you don't feel confident. Like we just need to figure it
Yeah,
out. So
and not the root of the hair, the root
yeah,
of the
the root of the internal root.
yeah.
Yes.
But
I love
yeah,
it.
no, I love how you go about business. I know we're gonna wrap things up here, but yeah, I love how you go about business. Heavy on the AI and how you need to evolve, and you need to evolve now more than ever because of how fast the world is progressing. So it's like before, maybe you had some time before there was these digital tools, but now
There's no time.
it's legit. It's like that's what's happening. So, but yeah, thank you so much for being on today. We'll have everything linked in the description about everything that like all of your handles and all of that.
Thanks.
But yeah, thanks for
Yes, I
joining us
loved
today.
having you on. I was so excited when we talked about this. I'm like, yes, she is who I need on my podcast.
Oh my
Because
God. I'll work with you guys anytime. I would love it. I have to
all
come
of our
out to an
little
event.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
chats, like you said, like it's stuff that I'm always like, we need this to be recorded. Like people
Yeah.
need to hear this stuff.
It's a
People need
lot.
help with these things. And so
And
it was
now it
great.
is.
Yes.
It is.
And now it
Yeah.
is. We've talked about a lot more. We have more
We're
to
only
bring.
scratching the surface.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
you guys do, so you're training real quick, just so I know too, I know we're going to wrap up. So you're doing another training soon, right?
Yes.
Okay.
June 2nd in Salt Lake City.
Okay, great. And then you guys, do you teach AI stuff too in your training? So you've been tapping on
yeah.
that? Cool.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Huge element to that. So yeah, we're locking in more dates. We're looking at Chicago. It's actually the call right after this. We're talking about heading to the UK in September.
Great.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of synergy in everything that you're doing as well. We gotta chat more and see how we can collaborate.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
Thank you
We
guys
will
for
definitely
having
be in
me.
touch.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being on,
Absolutely.
Gina. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right,
Bye.
ciao.